We've come to our lesson now of number 20. And yes, you keep hearing this every Sunday. We are still in the book of Genesis. We are still here, but we have actually went through many eras, and now we are at the patriarchs. And here, when we start this era of patriarchs, we are reminded of Abram, but now, since last Sunday, he has a name changed to Abraham. And I just want us to get a glimpse of what God promised him when he introduced him, when he called him. And it says, "Get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you, and I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in all of the families of the earth shall be blessed." That's a great promise. That's a great covenant that God can make to his people. But yet, you have to understand where Abraham was at that moment. He was a moon worshiper. Living in the Ur of Chaldeans, he was with his family, and he praised and worshipped a thing that couldn't do anything, yet control the seasons. He was a moon worshiper. But yet, how did he get from this point and having God call him? God saw his heart, his obedient heart, yet we don't really see his full obedience in his life. But today what we're going to see is truly what happens when you are truly obedient and following the command of God. Ever since God told him to leave his family, go from your country, did he follow that? Not to the T. He did leave, but yet he brought his family with him. And as we can see, the different consequences that led up to that particular moment. And what we're going to focus on is chapter 17, but we're going to be going from 17 all the way to 22. Don't worry, I'm not going to go verse by verse and keep you here, though I would like to. Let us start at 17. Verse 1, and it says, "When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be blameless." When God told Abram to leave his country, it was before he was 70. He left and he spent a few years in Haran. Was that where he was supposed to be? No, because God said, I will lead you to a place that I show you, but yet he made a pit stop and said, let me rest. Let me spend some time in Haran. And Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. God called him earlier than that particular age. And now we see that Abram is 99 years old. But yet God is still reaching out to him. He may not have followed every command to the T, but yet God is still reaching out for his people. And this ought to tell us that no matter the age, God will use you to accomplish his mission. No matter if you're young or you're old, God will call you to accomplish what he wants you to do. And so here Abram is 99, and we're going to see how does this age play effect in his relationship with God, his relationship with his wife, and the promise, the covenant that God made with him. And verse 2, it says, I will make my covenant. Matter of fact, no, I want to actually focus on this. Walk before me and be blameless. What does that truly mean? When God called Abraham, he said, I am God. He made an introduction to him. I am God Almighty. I am the same God that introduced myself back when I gave you the promise. I'm reminding you of who I am now. I am all-powerful, none other before me. This is who I am. This is my character. But this is now what I expect from you. See, in our lives, God will make it very clear on who He is, but then He's going to make it clear on what He expects from you. Yes, I'm God, I'm the all-powerful, I work things out for you, but there's things you need to do for me. And here, Abraham is given the instruction, walk before me and be blameless. So what does that look like? Live your life openly in the presence of God. When you walk before God, He is standing in the back and He is seeing you. Seeing every direction that you go, seeing your interactions with others. He wants to see every part of you. And so here's the question. Do you want to remain in your sin when God is behind you? Do you want to be living the life that you want to live when God is watching you with His eyes? But then it says blameless. That means to be whole. God wanted total obedience. In this moment, He said, listen, I called you out. I spoke to you, I gave you the covenant that I want to bless you with, but yet you weren't really totally obedient with me. Here's the opportunity now. Here's the opportunity now. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him. God reminds Abram of his covenant that he made years before. He called Abraham to a higher calling. But look at his response. Abram fell on his face. When God calls you, He not only requires sacrifice, but He also requires complete surrender. When God called me, I did not surrender. Matter of fact, I dived deep into what I thought my own personal desires wanted to be, and yet He still came after me. Yes. Yes. When Abram was called, he was asked to surrender his family, his time, his false religion, and was asked to follow God completely. When you are called, are you able to surrender yourself and give yourself completely to God? Don't answer that now. You may be afraid about that answer. Because I was. Son, you're going to preach. You're going to pastor. You're going to speak and change lives using my word. No. You got the wrong person. But yet He still came after me. He still sought after me, and He's seeking after you. And it says, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you. And He says all of this. You shall be a father of many nations. Verse 5, no longer shall be your name called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you in this generation, for everlasting covenant to be God to you and your descendants after you. And also I give you and your descendants after you the land on which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession. I will be their God. Look at that. I will do this. I will do this. I will do this. If you stay obedient. When God calls, your life changes completely. When he called, your name is no longer Abram, for I will call you Abraham. This is what's going to happen. I will provide for you in this way. I will give you this. I will give you that. When God calls you, you have a new walk. You got a new talk with you. You have a new look. You have a new name. Oh, I love it when the song says, I've got a new look. I've got a new name. A new start is going my way. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is what? A new creature. All things have passed away. Behold, all things are becoming new for you. When God calls you, don't expect to live the same way you've been living. God calls you, he will change everything about you. Are you ready for that change? Abraham was. And we're going to see it here. Hop to verse 15. Then God said to Abram, as for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her and also give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be from her. Now let's back up just a little bit. And a few weeks we understood that when we were introduced to Abram, we were also introduced to his wife Sarai. And what was the circumstance that she was going in? Look at Genesis 11. And Haran died before his father Terah in the native land in the Ur of Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no children. Think about this for a moment. You are now in the presence of God, and he's saying to you, your wife's name is going to be Sarah. And I am going to bless her with a child. Now, women, you know your time. You know your clock. They're in roughly 90 years of age. But yet, even as they started their relationship, of course, they probably tried over and over again to get a son. They even were moon worshipers, so they prayed to the moon. Moon, oh moon, bright and shining moon, give me a son. I should write a children's book, shouldn't I? See, but in that moment, the moon couldn't do it, but the creator of the moon, the creator of heaven and earth said, what your false god couldn't do, I'm about to show up big for you. I am the God who turns your limitations into restorations. I am the God who's going to change your life. You may be going through something right now today, may thinking that it is too impossible for God to fix, but we serve a God who restores our limitations. You ought to have faith in that. That we serve a God who restores our limitations. 17, then Abram fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? You may think he was mocking God or even questioning God. No, this statement was not a mockery at all, but it was a relief of praise. Abraham said in his heart, what more can this God do for me? You have not only told me that you're going to bless me and bless my descendants, but now you're going to bless my wife? Abraham remembered his age, Sarah's age and their circumstances, yet God still said, I'm not holding back on you. I'm going to give you all that I want to. I made a promise and I'm going to stick with it. I am here to remind all of you here, we serve a God who moves beyond our incapabilities. That whatever you think is stagnant, whatever you think is an obstacle in your life, God will work through it out. And work through that particular mess and bless you beyond all measures. Yes, that's right. Do I have a witness to that? And Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you? Do you realize I had a son? Not with my wife, but I had a son. Abraham was still unclear about God's promises that he made about his wife, that he thought Sarah would become a spiritual mother to Ishmael, and that God will bless and provide that covenant that he said he would through this particular person. But God said, no, bro. No. You tried it your way. Without even trusting me, you and your wife schemed against me. Your own solutions doesn't fit in my plan. You tried doing it on your own, but you continue to make a bigger mess than what I intended for you to have. See, what we need to learn is let God handle it, let God fix it, let God solve it. We try to do things on our own. We try to work it out. And even when you try to work things out, you're telling God, no, take a seat. I got this. How dare you tell the Creator of all things, take a step back. Even in our own sin, He will still bless the mess. Look at this. He says, and as for Ishmael, this is God speaking to him. Let me actually back up. Verse 19. Then God said, no, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. He made it very clear. My blessing is not coming from Ishmael. It's coming from Isaac. Your wife will give birth. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants and after him. But here is what I love. Even through our own mistakes that we do, God still blesses those mistakes and turns everything around for His good. Look at it. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I've heard your prayers about him. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac. He made it very clear. Yeah, I blessed Ishmael. I blessed your mess. But this is what I want for you. I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear you at set time next year. Not only does God tell you what He wants to do, He's also going to give you a time period. See, we don't work on our own time. We work on God's time. And it says, then he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. Stop trying to do God's job for him. We try to take matters into our own hands, and yet that still tells God that we want to be in control. Let's move to Genesis chapter 21. We're taking a little hop here. This is now where Isaac is born. In verse 1 it says, and the Lord visited Sarah as he said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time in which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. we see the promises of the Lord coming to fruition. But I want to remind you what happened when God came to Sarah. Look at Genesis 18. It says this, and Abraham, well, is that 18? No. That's fine. I have a Bible with me. Look at this. 18, 9 through 15. It says, then they said to him, where is Sarah your wife? So he said, here in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah was listening in the tent door which was behind him. Now, let's pause for just a moment here. Should Sarah have been listening to their conversation? No? Should she have been eavesdropping into conversations? Probably not. That's a reminder for you. Stop eavesdropping on other people. But then when we eavesdrop, then we get into gossip, and is that right for us? No, it's not. What is meant for you, you will hear from their mouth. But here, look, Sarah was listening in the tent door which was behind him. Verse 11, now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age. Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I surely bear a child since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. But this is what I want to remind you. What was considered laughter, God turned it into rejoicing. What we think is impossible for God, yet God will show up and work it out for us. And then what we thought was impossible, it is now possible, and we are rejoicing with that. We are rejoicing with that. So, what are some things that you've been laughing at? What are some things that God has promised you that you have said, that's not going to happen? Do you have faith in that? That's something to think about. Verse 4 of 21. Then Abram circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, and God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him, and Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hears will laugh with me. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. No matter the circumstance, God will always prove to be faithful to his promises. No matter the circumstance, you ought to have faith in that. That yes, Sarah said, are you sure about this? I'm old, I'm wrinkled, I'm crappy. My husband's not going to love me, especially right now. But yet God was still faithful. What do you need God to be faithful for in your life right now? Now we get to our text. I'm almost done. Stay with me. I'm almost done here. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham! And he said, here I am. When God calls, your response determines the outcome. Abraham responded, here I am. He didn't complain. He didn't hide. He said, Lord, whatever comes my way, here I am. When was the last time God called you? Did you run from it? Or did you embrace his voice and say, "Here I am, Lord"? Think about the garden when God called Adam. Adam, where are you? Where are you? What were they doing? Hiding because they were ashamed? When God calls you, step out from the dark and enter the light, and he will do what needs to be done. Here, Abraham said, "I am here, Lord. No more hiding. I am no longer in shame because I have seen your promises being fulfilled. I have trust in you that whatever I go through, you will work it out for me." Whatever happens in my life, I am trusting you completely. Abraham said, "Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well. It is well with my soul." And here is what God told him. Then he said, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love. Go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." Whoa, God. Yeah. Whoa. I'm sorry, the son you blessed me with? The son you gave to me? The son you promised to me? Are you sure you want me to do this? See, many of us, if God came to us and told us about that, we would turn our heads. We would question him. We would say, take a day, think about it, come back to me. See, some of us go through tests to produce faith, but this test, it reveals faith. See, God was already building up Abraham from the very beginning, that he just didn't want Abraham to release or produce faith that wasn't there. He had faith and wanted it to be revealed. He's been building him up since the land of the Chaldeans. He took idol worship away from him, brought him to a land, and gave him a son. This was a test of true dedication rather than self-gratification. Let's look at that for just a moment. I gave you a son. Even when I remove a blessing from you, am I still worthy to be praised? Am I still worthy to be praised? But look at these phrases. Verse 2, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, offer him there burnt offering." These phrases, God gave no indication, no explanation about what he wanted him to do except follow my explicit command. And so what do we do when God commands us to do things? We take our time, we hesitate. Even so, we question God. But what does Abraham do? Look at his response. "So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place on which God had told him." Abraham's response was full obedience, didn't even question God. He rose early in the morning. He probably couldn't even sleep. "You really want me to kill my son? I can't sleep. I can't get a good night rest." But yet, he didn't question God. He rose up early in the morning and said, "Let's go." He followed the command of God. See, our response to God's test is total obedience even when we don't understand. If you don't get anything from today, that is the one thing I want you to understand. When God tests you, your total obedience is required, even when you don't even understand why he's telling you to do it. But then let's continue. And Abraham said to his young men, they got to the place where God led them. Verse 5, and Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. We will come back to you. Let's pause for just a moment and understand this. God told Abraham, go up to the mountain, sacrifice your son as a burnt offering. But he's telling his servants, stay right here. We're going to go up, and then we're going to come down. Did we see the difference in that here? So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, my father. He started to question a few things. He was looking around. I don't see no lamb. Is it in your bag? And the two of them went together, and Isaac spoke, Father, here I am, my son. Imagine the heart of Abraham right now. His only son. Then he said, look, the fire's here. We got the wood. I don't see any lamb for a burnt offering. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. So the two of them went together. Our faith matters in the midst of our test. Whenever you are going through a storm, whenever you are being tested, your faith matters because it will always determine the outcome. Abraham was banking on only two options. The Lord will provide a lamb, or complete faith that his boy will be raised from the dead. Look at Hebrews 11. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, in Isaac your seed shall be called, concluding that God was able to raise him up from the dead, from which he also received him in a figurative sense. He knew there was only two things that could possibly happen. God won't let this happen. He promised things to me. How can he turn back now? His faith was extraordinary. Either he's going to raise him from the dead, or before I do this, there will be an offering. There will be a lamb. I'm not sure about where you are or what your life is right now, but faith still works today. Faith still works out for you. Do you have it? Do you have faith in God that he will do what he said he will do? Then they came to the place on which God had told him, and Abraham, look at this. Verse 6, took the fire in his hand and a knife. He made sure that he was completely obedient to God. See, when God tells us certain things, sacrifice your only son, go up to this mountain, we could possibly do things that will hinder that command. He didn't leave the knife behind. He didn't leave the fire behind. He said, I'm going to take this with me. That way I don't have an excuse not to do it. When we follow the command of God, follow it completely so we won't give him an excuse for us not to listen to him. When the Lord says, stop dating that person, you sure? She's pretty cute. She's pretty lovely. Stop going to that bar. Stop smoking that, what is it called? Marijuana. Are you sure? Feels good. I'm able to release myself. Follow his command. Then they came to the place of which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac, his son. But how did they get up to this mountain, holding all of these things? Look at verse 8. My son, God will provide for himself a lamb for a burnt offering. But look before that. He laid the wood on Isaac. And Isaac carried it up to the mountain. Keep that in mind. He had to carry what was going to kill him. Abraham built an altar, and there placed wood in it. And he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But, oh, I love the but. But the angel of the Lord called from heaven and said, Abraham! Abraham! And look what Abraham said. Here I am! Here I am! Look, Abraham responded and said, here I am. Tears is probably running down his face. The knife in his hand. He's completely vulnerable, but he cries out, here I am, Lord. This means, this is me. I am being completely obedient. No other thought in my mind. I am trusting you. Lord, it's me. It's your child. Show up for me. Here I am. And he said, do not lay a hand on your lad. And do not do anything to him. For now I see that you fear God. Since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked. And what did he see? There was a ram caught in the bush. See, by faith, it will bring you out. You might be struggling right now. You might be in a season of despair, a season of confusion, but faith in God will bring you out. Look at what Abraham is doing. He saw a ram in the bush. He said, the Lord did provide. Yes, that's right. And Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the thickets by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of his son, and Abraham called the name of this place, the Lord will provide. And it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. No, but I want you to take a look. Look at this other version. The New Messianic Bible, verse 14, it says, and Abraham, the exalted father, fly they will, called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah will see to it. Jehovah provides. And it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord Jehovah, Messiah pre-incarnate, it shall be seen. But what does it say? Look at this other version in the complete Jewish Bible. Abraham called the place Adonai Jireh. Adonai will see to it. Adonai provides. And it said to this day, on the mountain Adonai is seen. What is that truly saying? God said, Abraham, I get you were confused. Why I asked you to do this great task. But you just got a glimpse of what I already had to do. I already made a decision in my mind what I needed to do. See, your boy had to carry some wood up a mountain, but my son is about to carry a cross. Your boy had to carry his cross up this mountain. You don't know what my son is about to pay. Your boy was most likely confused on why he needed to be killed, My son knew his mission since he was born. You can't comprehend the love that I have for this world, that I'm going to send my only son to make a decision for you on this mountain. You got a glimpse of what I needed to do. The price that I must pay. We ought to be glad about that. We ought to be glad about that. I could have left you in your sin. I could have told you to pay the price for your own sin, but I'm sending the ultimate price. I'm sending the ultimate sacrifice. And verse 15, then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, blessings I will bless you. Multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens and as the sand on which is on the seashore. Your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Because you obeyed my voice. This ultimate sacrifice that I'm sending to the world, it's going to come out of your boy. It's going to come out of you, your descendant. Woo, good God. Because you were obedient, I will bless you beyond all measures. So I'm asking you right now, where in your life do you need to be obedient with? God has called you to a higher purpose, to a higher calling. Are you being obedient to his call? God will send a ram in the bush. And he will save you out of your troubles. If you don't believe me, believe Abraham. He had faith like no other. Sacrifice your son, your only son. Lord, you really want me to do this? Yes. Prove to me that you love me. Prove to me that you will do anything for me. I will do anything for a God who saved my life. I would do anything for a God who, when I was deep in sin, when I was in trouble, when I was sinking deep below, he grabbed me, pulled me out, and turned me around. But not only that, he placed my feet on solid ground. Do I have a witness to that? That God will do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could ask or think. So where are you? Where are you right now?